The West believes that through economic collaboration and engagement, China will become more democratic. The underlying assumption is that the Chinese Communist Party will change as it grows economically. But this assumption has proven wrong. The CCP has never changed and never will. For a century, the American elites have romanticized the Chinese Communist Revolution, and politicians, diplomats, and military personnel have fallen prey to the CCP's deceptive tactics over and over again. This lack of understanding of the Chinese Communist Party has been costly, especially today. So what is the CCP exactly? Hi everyone, I'm Lei. Welcome to my show. So what is the Chinese Communist Party? First of all, to call it a party is misleading. No political party requires new members to raise their fist and swear that they will keep the secrets for the party, be loyal to it, and be ready to sacrifice everything for the party at any time. It sounds more like something done to join a gang or mafia group, but that's what every CCP member swears to when they join the CCP. Ever since it seized power, the Chinese Communist Party has made itself bigger than China. Yes, it's true. The head of the party ranks higher than the head of the country. The president of China is essentially just the figurehead and doesn't have the standing or power that the Communist Party chief has. By the way, Xi Jinping, the current Secretary General of the CCP, is often referred to as China's president by the West. But that title is actually inaccurate, and it's unimportant since his most powerful job is the head of the CCP. Chairman Mao was called the Savior, and the CCP was and still is glorified as magnificent, glorious, and right, and its grace was bigger than heaven and earth. After uprooting traditional faith in China, the CCP made communism the de facto state religion, and the CCP has been playing the role of God, except that it's a religion in which state and church are not separated. The role the CCP plays in every aspect of Chinese life is something the West doesn't understand or fully grasp. They simply think the CCP is a political party with a different ideology and treat it as such. But in essence, the CCP and its ideology is a malicious religion that aims to control people spiritually, mentally, and physically. It monitors and controls businesses, academia, and communities by establishing its branches and organizations everywhere. In China, any organization must include party members, and those with at least 3 CCP members are required to form a formal party branch. The party leader is the #1 guy in the organization, with the responsibility of ensuring that the organization follows the CCP directive. In some companies, the board's decision is subject to the opinion of the CCP. The same is true for foreign-owned companies. If they set up in China, they must adopt the same structure. Last September, Chinese dissidents released a list of 1.95 million CCP members in Shanghai. According to the list, IBM had at least 24 party branches with 808 members. 3M employed 230 CCP members. PepsiCo had 45. Dow Chemical Company had 4 party branches with 337 CCP members. Westin Hotel and Resorts, owned by Marriott, had 23 members. Analytics firm Nielsen had 94. Mars Food 14 and MetLife 31. The list is only a partial list of CCP members in Shanghai, so the real number of CCP members in these companies is probably much higher. Earlier media reports highlighted that Boeing had at least 287 CCP members, and pharmaceutical giant Pfizer had 69. Foreign companies cannot escape the fate of having to take the CCP as supreme leader if they do business in China. In an October 2016 interview, the Vice Minister of the Political Organization Ministry, Qi Yu, said of the 106,000 foreign firms in China, that 70% of them have established CCP organizations within their companies. According to Qi, foreign-funded companies welcomed the CCP branches and said, quote, "The party organization can help them understand China's policies in a timely manner, resolve labor disputes, and provide positive energy for the development of the companies. This comment concerns me. If the foreign investors said what they believed, that means that they had been indoctrinated to think like a CCP member. If it's not what they really thought and they were saying it just to please the CCP, it's also terrible because they had learned to lie to get along. And that's how the CCP corrupts people. When Western firms go to China, they overlook the most fundamental question. Who is their boss? It's not the board, it's not the customers, it's the CCP. So for the past century, America's China policies have failed over and over again because of the lack of clear understanding of communism and how Communist Party operates. Recently, several Chinese media published an article that described the first official U.S. CCP interaction in the 1940s. The article revealed that because the United States misjudged the CCP and failed to give strong support to Chiang Kai-shek, his nationalists were defeated by the CCP in 1949. In July 1944, the U.S. Army China-Myanmar-India Theater Observer Group, led by David Dean Barrett and John S. Service, arrived in Yan'an, the area where the Chinese communists were hiding out and which functioned as their headquarters. This was the beginning of the first official interaction between the U.S. government and the CCP leadership. After a few weeks of observation, David Barrett commented that the Communist Party's army has undergone good combat training, has a high level of intelligence and morale. Moreover, he said that the Communist Party's government and army were the first government and army in China's modern history that were actively supported by the broad masses. John Service also praised and credited the communists for a clean and superior society. After visiting Yan'an, Service advocated that the U.S. work with forces opposed to the nationalists, such as the communists. These Americans were misled by the CCP and didn't see the reality of what was actually happening. Scores of Chinese writers recorded the terror of political infighting and persecution within CCP leadership during that time. Zheng Zhi, wife of a political leader, wrote in her memoir, A Survivor of the Revolution. When the night was deep, the small windows of the cave dwellings showed dim light of flaxseed oil flickering, and all was quiet. Then suddenly there were waves of cursing, kicking, and screaming over the earth wall, over the mountain beams, and drifting towards the darkness, intermittently, one after another, which made people shudder in fear. Of course, the Americans could not have seen this. Their itineraries were carefully arranged. Mao Zedong even displayed in front of them his enthusiasm for Western democracy. The CCP's perfectly executed PR image completely deceived the Americans. By the time the Americans woke up, it was too late. The CCP had already seized power. 1 year after obtaining power, the CCP fought the Americans in Korea with help from the Soviet Union and has continued exporting communism to the West. 100 years ago, when the founding father of Chinese democracy, Dr. Sun Yat-sen, established the Republic of China, he was not supported by the West in his effort to unite the country. To bring unification to China, Dr. Sun signed a joint manifesto with Soviet Russia, although he didn't think communism was any good for China. However, this agreement allowed the Soviet communists to gain a foothold in China. Sun explained his decision. The Republic is like my child. He is in danger of drowning. I tried to keep him from sinking while being washed away by the rapids in the river. I asked Britain and the United States for help. They stood on the riverbank and laughed at me. At this time, a straw called Soviet Russia came. We were drowning. I had to grab the straw. Britain and the United States yelled at me, "Don't get the straw," but they didn't help. They were laughing but didn't want me to catch the straw. I know it's a straw, but it's better than nothing. In a July 22, 1923 interview with the New York Times, Dr. Sun said, "We have lost hope of help from America, England, France, or any other of the great powers. The only country that shows any signs of helping us in the South is the Soviet government of Russia." However, the New York Times said in the same article, the prevailing foreign estimate of Dr. Sun has been that he is a dreamer and therefore dangerous if put in charge of the affairs of the nation. History has proven that the foreign nation's estimate of Dr. Sun was wrong. Sun Yat-sen was one of the greatest leaders of modern China and the only leader who is revered in both Taiwan and the mainland. But the lack of support from the West allowed communism to settle and flourish in China. This July 1st will be the centennial anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party, and the nation has been put on high alert. From June 13th to July 1, no kites, balloons, sky lanterns, or even birds are allowed in the skies over Beijing. And on July 1st, all walkie-talkies, campus radio stations, wireless paging stations, mobile phone and GPS jammers, as well as wireless remote controls for planes, boats, and vehicles, will be shut down. Perhaps the leaders are thinking about what paramount leader Deng Xiaoping said in 1974 at the United Nations. Should China one day become a superpower that bullies, invades, and exploits people everywhere, then the world should expose it, oppose it, and defeat it. I think people have figured it out that the CCP's time has come. Isn't that just what the world is doing now, following Deng's directive? Thank you for watching. Please share this video far and wide, and I thank you.